Hark the bardic paladin, who sings and plays again. He tells the tales of glory and weaves a magic story. He'll join you at your table and ask you to share a fable. Heroes of humble origin, villains who must be fought again. No matter their skill or prowess, the people in life are countless. So we pray you heed our request. Enjoy this tale of sidekicks and side quests.
Episode 166, Qbert, the Cryptid of the Sewers. Welcome to Sidekicks and Side Quests, the Dungeons & Dragons podcast that helps to put humans back into humanity and breathe life into your campaign NPCs with backstory and bravado. That's right, we're building a world, one character at a time. I am your host, Kurt Krenwelge, the Bardic Paladin, and I'll be joining Mr. Shickadance's table in the levitating platter. Hello, and welcome to another month's exciting episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests, the best unofficial Dungeons & Dragons podcast, in my humbly biased opinion. I've got an amazing guest for you this month, but before we reveal who it might be, I have to leave you in suspense with the ad read. This podcast is brought to you by Plus One EXP and their brand new RPG Zine Club. It's a golden age of indie and small press RPGs. For the last several years, Plus One has made it our mission to help new indie creators and small press imprints get their products onto tables worldwide. Our highest goal is to create more sustainable and equitable pathways to getting games made and played. Now we want to take on our most ambitious project yet with RPG Zine Club. What is RPG Zine Club? It is a monthly membership subscription service featuring fresh zines from emerging and expanding creators across the globe. It's our way of inviting GMs, players, and zine lovers everywhere to invest more intentionally in the creative community. It's crowdsourced support without crowdfunding. Now, what are some of the features you have to look forward to when you join the RPG Zine Club? Well, you've got monthly releases with 2 20 to 44 page saddle stitch zines. Take your pick from story zines, adventure zines, or get both kinds. You can get print and digital or digital only of your favorite titles. Join the Clubhouse Discord. It's a section of our online community for club members to discuss and play new titles. Get the best prices guaranteed. You can select your frequency of how often you'd like titles, and you can get what you want and only get what you want. If you miss a month, there's no worries there. You can add recent titles to your month's order and get an annual surprise each February after your first anniversary. Get access to special content, including interviews, how to play videos, and special content for Zine Club titles. Do you like free pizza? Fill out one of the RPG Zine Club passports and redeem it for free pizza at events. You're going to get to encounter new and known designers. We source the best voices from across the RPG design community. We curate zines based on community interest and feedback to help you discover your new favorite creators. We are DIE focused. Plus One is committed to championing diversity, inclusion, and equity in our projects. Creators with diverse experiences make our community better. Zine Club prioritizes creating equity for all of our creators. And it's more than a purchase. Your subscriptions will let us invest more heavily in our print partners and provide them with potentially life-changing support by consolidating scores or hundreds of purchases as the club grows. So, if you want more details, please be sure to go to the website rpgzine.club. And this all can be found also by going to the website plus1exp.com. On that website, if you're making a purchase for a beard balm, a lip balm, beard RPG, or whatnot, and you're looking for a code to use at checkout, be sure to use the code Randolph, RANDOLPH, and save some coin on your purchase. Again, the website to get the discounts from me and provide a kickback to me to help support the podcast would be plus1exp.com with code Randolph. And be sure to go and check out the brand new rpgzine.club. All right. And we're now back from the ad read, and we're going to reveal who we're speaking with this month. So without further ado, hello, mystery contestant. Would you care to introduce yourself, tell us who it is that you are and what is it that you do.
Hello everybody in the audience. My name is Mr. Shickadance, or Sean, whatever you prefer. I do I'm act like an idiot on the internet for my own entertainment and possibly yours if we have a similar sense of humor. But mostly I kind of make jokes about D&D, and I talk about D&D a little bit here and there, or general TTRPGs across the space. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Yes. No, I discovered you through the almighty algorithm of Instagram, which seems to be the one place that the podcast seems to be thriving pretty well on social media spaces. So you have indeed done some very humorous reels and clips about different spells. I think it'll certainly date it, but I think at the time of this recording, you recently did a video where you were talking about maybe the most for 5.5, like this spell you don't think on the surface is like a big deal, but it actually is a big
Yeah.
deal, sort of a thing.
Yeah. It's the Saloon's Viper thing. That spell's kind of busted.
Or it may be one before that, because it was like, oh, this may be one that would get banned at tables, like how Silvery Barbs was before, where it's like,
Yes. I
not
did a
only
few
does it
videos.
mean you get to do this, but it also means you actually are doing this, sort of a thing.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't played 5.5 or haven't even looked at it, there's actually some incredibly powerful things that they're releasing in the is that Faerun collection of books, where it's like the official
Okay.
Sword Coast setting in the world, like the broader world of the Sword Coast.
Mm-hmm.
But they added a lot of very powerful spells. One of them is like this weird AoE thing that prevents people from healing. It's very powerful.
Yes, I think that may have been the one where you basically can trap a bad guy in it and just be like, you just don't get to heal anymore, sort of a thing.
And they also introduced this very interesting mechanic called circle casting, where you and multiple other casters can get together and empower a spell by expending like additional spell slots.
Okay.
It's incredibly cool, but it's something probably best used for DMs, because I don't think players are going to use, 3/4 level spell slots to cast one spell.
Sure. Yeah, that definitely sounds like something us dungeon masters all kind of just homebrewed on the side. We're like, how can I creatively solve this problem? Sure, I'll have the big main, higher tier NPCs just be like, we're just going to channel all of our resources while you, the heroes, are busy fighting the evil priest of the cult. We'll actually be off on the side over here, helping you out and stuff like that, without having to manage so many things on the board.
It's our most powerful ability, being able to dump all of our resources into a single fight. It's totally unfair, and I love it.
Yeah, so that's the primary thing that we would know and see you from is on the social medias. I guess that's Instagram and TikTok, where you're making this video content.
Yeah. I refuse some stubbornly to use YouTube at all. Unfortunately, my brain just doesn't want to do it. But yeah, the other two places you'll find me there.
Okay, very cool. And then are there any other like actual plays or other things you've posted on the DMs Guild or anything? I'm just trying to do my good service, my good research into all these cool people on the internet making things, and it's like, oh, I don't just want to be like, oh, I only just know you because I saw you on this one reel and I thought you would be a fun guest to have on the podcast.
No, it's definitely fair. I also stream a little bit occasionally. I'm going to start back up. I always say that, but I am going to try this time. And also, I do have an actual play that I did like one season of. It's called Chaos Theory. It's on YouTube. There's a lot of really fun players. It's kind of like I tried to do what a city looks like when the heroes are away, like who solves crimes in the city that the heroes have already left. What does a magical civilization with law enforcement look like? It's kind of fun. Little noir story, but yeah, you can go check out that if you'd like.
That definitely reminds me of an earlier YouTube, the older stuff of Corridor Digital, and I think they had like a skit they did called Wizard Cops.
Yeah. Where they were like a gun at the end.
Well, it was like they were wizards, like they were police. They were dressed like police officers, but they had big wizard beards. And they were like, hey, you can't, but what are you drinking that potion for? And then the guy's like stumbling around drunk, but he's drinking a bunch of potions and like vomiting colors up on the walls and stuff. And it's like, oh, I gotta get my scroll. We need backup. And sort of, so it was like an episode of Cops, but it was like Wizard Cops or whatever.
I think they did a sequel to that with Keegan Michael Key and Freddie Wong, where they had a standoff, like a 3-way gun standoff, and at the end they were like, another day here in Wizard City, and it's like zoomed out, and there's a big Hogwarts school behind him and stuff. It was pretty funny. Funny guys.
The good days of the YouTube, of the internet.
Yeah. Now we got Mr. Beast. I want to die.
Oh man. Well, this, of course, with the name of the podcast being Sidekicks and Side Quests, it's all Dungeons and Dragons themed. So I would be remiss, as you explained with the content that you're making. But do you currently, or have you ever played D&D before?
Oh, D&D. That's the Dungeons and Dragons one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did one of those once or twice. I don't have one currently. I don't have a campaign going currently, and it's definitely a part of my life that I'm missing right now. I can feel it. Like I lost a part of myself. But I have run mostly. I've run campaigns. I've played in one or two over the years, but you know how it is.
I do, yes. As someone who got their start in 4th edition on Halloween night of 2010.
Damn.
Yeah, I've been in it for a while, and then, made the transition over to 5th, and I've been pretty happy with 5th, and, any home brewing or tinkering that I need to do, I just do. But I'm like, fundamentally, most of these things seem to work, and, I haven't necessarily made it all the way from a 1 to 20 run in 5th edition. So one of these days.
Yeah.
But I am running games. I'm currently doing like a Google Doc campaign with a friend, long distance. So we just kind of write back and forth to each other, and that's how I've been playing D&D for like the last 2 years.
Oh, so like play by post?
It's basically like a play by post, but we just do it through Google Docs that we both have access to, and we're already up to Google Doc 13. So
wow,
it's a lot of words that we've typed out on the computers.
You should publish it into like a book.
We'll see.
Or not.
There's probably a lot of banter that we would have to cut out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The characters needlessly off on divergent tangents and such.
Fair.
Like a standard game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It'd be interesting, like I don't know, like something to dive into after the fact, like after it's done, just to like go back and go through the layers, see what happened over the years. That'd be cool.
It would be cool. Yes, indeed. And with this theme of our podcast being on the sidekicks and the side quests, we like to ask all of our guests these, I think the adjective I'm looking for is eponymous questions, but do you happen to have a favorite NPC or sidekick character that you enjoy, whether they be from one of your many games of Dungeons and Dragons or RPG, a video game, movie, film, television, literature, etc.? And why is this character your favorite NPC or sidekick?
Oh, so not one that I've created.
Well, anyone that you just personally enjoy.
Because that'd be super biased if I said it was one I made up.
I mean, it could be one that maybe you've made, or maybe it's someone else's that you enjoy.
That's interesting. I never think about characters from movies and TV being NPCs, but they are. Yeah. They're not players. They're just actors in a role someone wrote for them. Just like a video game character. Oh, I guess the Baldur's Gate cast is an easy slam dunk.
Yeah.
Obviously, my main guy, what's his Popper, the kobold from Act 3. Best NPC ever
the circus.
Made. He sells good things, I hear. That's about it.
And he's got a hat.
He does have a hat. A fine connoisseur of NPCs, I see.
Indeed. I've done at least one playthrough.
Yeah. At least one. 45 hours of your life later, maybe more. Thousands of hours for some.
Second one.
You know there are people who've played thousands of hours of that game still in Act 1? Haven't seen Act 2? That's crazy to me.
That is quite astounding. It's like, what are you going over? Like, you've done everything in Act 1, right?
Yeah. Multiple times probably at that point.
How can you even spawn or trigger more fights?
Or how are you not like dying to see the rest of the story? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Unless they're just save scumming. They're like, they just want the most perfect version of the story.
They're trying to get every roll to be a natural 20 throughout all of Act 1.
That would be, I don't know. There's someone who's probably on that run right now. And then months from now, we'll see like the Polygon Kotaku article where it's like, this streamer did a run of Baldur's Gate 3 and they only made it where it was a natural 20 on every single roll.
That's such a BuzzFeed article. It's not even correct. I could genuinely see them going like, this D&D campaign took this person 13,000 hours.
Yes.
Oh God, that's so sad. But yeah, I like Popper. To answer the question, yeah, he's just a wacky little guy. He does
Mhm.
some weird. He stole a guy's hand. That's kind of funny. Love little
Mhm.
guys, especially if they're gross. If they're like little gremlin-esque monsters,
Mhm.
immediately have a place in my heart.
So you think for the Baldur's Gate 3 scenery, because it is true that we do get to encounter many different kinds of, I think in the 5.5 terminology, they'd say species. In the more general sense, they'd say ancestries. But,
Mhm.
Act 1, it's like, oh, we come across the goblins and how at least they're presented in this story, along with ogres. And then, yeah, by the time of like Act 3, it's like, oh, we finally get to see like a cobalt. And I think that's pretty much the only point in the game that you would ever meet a cobalt, because I don't think they appear anywhere else, right?
I
We meet Dwargar, we meet deep gnomes, and we meet
trying to rack my brain. Oh,
obviously
there's one
mind
other
flayers.
place in Act Two. You meet them. They're all like drunk at a little party in the chapel, in the old Pelor chapel. There's like a hallway where they're all getting wasted on wine. You can blow them up
Yes, you're
there.
right. And then
That's
you
about
can
it.
use a firebolt and like explode them all.
Yeah, because they all got wine in their bellies, so they explode real good.
Yes. Okay. So two places in the game where you get to meet kobolds.
I think those are the only two. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And then there's very very interesting uses of the different species in D&D in that game.
Mm.
I'm very mad you don't get to play as a goblin. That's my only complaint about the game.
I think I've seen one going on right now with Mage Hand Press. They've been doing a run of Baldur's Gate 3 that I've seen at least in the real clips, but they did a mod, or they installed
Yeah.
a mod where it was their gunslinger class. And so the
Mm,
person's just going through and like finds a chest with like innumerable amounts of firearms and is just going through the game as like a gunslinger and is just like decimating all the creatures in Act 1. It's like,
yeah.
wow, a gun's pretty powerful. And it's like, yeah, a gun would just be pretty powerful in general.
Yeah. If you brought an AK to a D&D campaign, it would probably one shot a lot of people.
Right. As I've certainly found out in the game I've run, because
Oh
it's
God.
a spell jammery was the kind of the start of it.
Mm.
But I gave that character access to basically the railgun from the DMG.
What
I was
level?
like,
What level were
that's
they?
pretty fun. So when she's come across some higher level bad guys, she's like, I'm going to pull out the big gun. And I'm like, okay, let's see you do some damage with this one.
So it's like how everyone plays Doom. They just save the big gun for when a boss shows up, and then they one tap it and leave.
Yeah, well, maybe like one or two shots, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it gets the job. It gets the job done.
That's usually what I found with railguns is they tend to do a pretty good job of doing the one thing they do.
Yes. And
That's
not to be
awesome.
confused with the hypothetical that's made its way through the community of the peasant railgun, where you have them, if you've heard of this, where it's like, oh,
I've
it's a free
made
action to
videos about it
pass an
before.
object to someone. So with the terminal velocity of passing a chair, if you had a 1,000 peasants in a row and it's a free action, so by the time it gets to the end, it
Mhm.
does like a silly amount of damage to whatever's on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, I've had my time with the peasant railgun. I've made videos about it before. I yeah.
Yes.
I find it hard to believe that if you passed a chair from one person to another with enough force to literally obliterate something at the end of that rail, you would kill about 30 people before it got to the end of that line.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they'd be
Very true.
vaporized by a chair going
Yes.
the speed of light through them. Anyways, that's just my take on it, but it is fun.
Yeah, no, and we've had noted Canadian physicist student on this podcast, Mr. Dylan himself from the Kill Every Monster podcast. So
Oh,
um,
nice.
he always has some very sage words about science, but also D&D, and like how they can work together, and how sometimes you just need to be like, hey, it's a fantasy world. The science is busted, so just like embrace the fantasy and don't try to
Yeah.
science it too much and ruin the fun.
That is true, and I'm with that 100%. If my players brought that idea to me and it was funny, I'd be like, "Okay, that's fine. We're all having a good time." But
Mhm.
the amount of people who have brought it up as like a solution to every problem, I'm just like, "You are insane. Stop it. Stop lining up 40,000 peasants you don't know to shoot a dragon 50 feet away from you." But
Yes.
also, you can marry the two in a beautiful way. Have you ever seen the engineer who designed like an arrow that shoots a portable or a bag of holding into a portable hole.
Oh, I haven't heard this one, but I do know that if you mix interdimensional storage items together, you make a hole in space time and a portal to the astral sea.
Yeah. So there's this. I it's probably on Reddit somewhere. If anyone who was listening wants to look it up, it's this like actual engineering student who got into D&D. They decided to like blueprint it out, like an actual diagram of how it would work. There's a bag of holding tied around the arrow,
Okay.
and there's a portable, like a contraption that unfurls the portable hole directly in front of it. So when it hits a surface, it turns into a hole, and the bag immediately travels into it.
Mhm.
Creates a black hole, basically.
Right.
That's how you can do it with like science and magic meeting together in this beautiful
Sure.
sort of way that I love that. For some reason, my brain's like, that's awesome. But the peasant thing doesn't work.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
The human brain.
The human brain. And continuing on with the other side of the coin of our questions,
Mhm.
what happens to be your favorite side quest or B plot element when it comes to, the games that you play, the movies or films or television shows or historical events, etc., that you've enjoyed, and why is this your favorite side quest or B plot element
Favorite B plots.
or
That's an
side
interesting
quests?
question. Yeah. Side quests, B plots. Right now, I'm currently playing through the Crimson Desert, which I don't understand what's happening in that game. I'm 60 hours in. I have no idea what's going on. So I can't really tell you about that. I'm trying to think past that game to something more interesting, like a
Sure.
Borderlands 2, if you will. That has a lot of really good side quests that are like their whole full stories.
Mhm.
I actually think there was one about a missile in Borderlands 4 that just came out not too long ago.
Okay.
It was a side quest about this missile that was like, the city of Megaton in Fallout
Yes.
3, I think.
Three.
Yeah. It was essentially a parody of that game where the
Okay.
missile was sentient and could talk, and all it
Oh.
wanted to do was blow up. That's all it ever wanted
That
to do.
sounds very much like Rick and Morty sort of.
Yeah. They're really trying to do that kind of humor in the fourth game.
Mm.
But it went on, like, you took this missile on this whole journey and trying to find purpose for it, and then it was like, no, it's fine, just blow me up. That's all I ever wanted. And it's a really funny, like, existential journey with this bomb.
Yes. Yeah. So getting into AI technology,
Yeah.
can androids dream of electric sheep and all that stuff?
Yeah. Do missiles dream of electric explosions? Something
Mm.
like that. But yeah,
Well,
it's pretty funny.
that does sound funny, yes. And as someone who is a fan of the Fallout games since 3 for sure,
Mhm.
yeah, I do remember that being a litmus test as far as like your playthrough and the morality and how you viewed the world, where it's like, oh, do you save Megaton or do you follow that evil Mr. Burke and Abernathy Tenpenny and blow
Mhm.
up Megaton because it's an eyesore. It's like,
Yeah.
really? That's how we're gonna live in the post-apocalypse?
You love a good litmus test for what kind of person you are. That's the kind of side quests I tend to use, or like just the plots I try to tie into character stories is usually like, who are you as this character? Like,
Right.
if I put something in front of you and I don't give you a hint on whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, what do you do with it? I love those kinds of quests for like my games, not to play through, because I'm busy talking to missiles over here.
Yes. We're like, maybe if I got like a sentient, like a sentient sphere of annihilation. Yes, I could
Mm,
integrate that in as a side quest into my
yeah.
next dungeon I make.
Professor A, he teaches at the school. Sentient orb.
Oh, funny. Oh, because of is that a bald joke or is that not a bald joke?
No, it's not a ball joke. I just think it would be funny to see that orb wear the little graduation hat and like walk around to school and teach kids about math. But also he's like destroying the hallway as he goes from class to class.
Yes. Well, and as we're seeing in our popular media, as it were, in the D&D sphere, because it's certainly no secret at this point, but
Mhm.
Taliesin Jaffe is playing a player character that is a sentient object riding on a humanoid body. So I'm sure people have obviously been doing this in the hobby for time immemorial. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, I wonder if this inspires a whole new generation being like, yes, I'm going to be a sentient sphere of annihilation, or oh, I'm
Oh
going to be a
yeah.
sentient artifact now.
Judging from the number of like champions of the Raven Queen I've seen in non-critical role campaigns, yeah, it's going to affect it's going to affect the community for quite a while. We're going to see like sentient cut racks and sentient, I'm a dress that's possessed by a spirit of a woman, and this I just happen to be on this person right now. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and our good friend over at RPG Bot, at least for the first monster manual over on the DM's Guild, I know he released a compendium where he basically converted every monster in the monster manual into like a player class or a
Oh, that's
player
cool.
character. Basically, you could if you wanted to be like an onkeg, you could find a way to become a rogue onkeg or something like that. He
Yeah.
he managed to do that for the entire monster manual. So if you wanted to play an animated piece of clothing, you could totally do that
A rug of
with
smothering.
the rug of smothering as a player character. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Interesting. I know they did that with Pathfinder 2. They have like certain select creatures in the monster manual that are humanoid-ish. And they're
Hmm.
like, if you wanted to play this, here's why you just change a few things. They have like little blurbs on the page, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So that's cool.
That's pretty cool that they provide that to you up front. So that's
Oh,
pretty neat.
Paizo is doing some really good stuff over there. Their game, I don't know enough people to play it with because no one wants to learn to play Pathfinder 2, but they do support their game very well. So that is a glowing endorsement on them for supporting their product.
We like supporting our products.
We do like a supported product.
Indeed. And then the way that we round out the personal interview section is we ask the question, Mr. Sean, Mr. Shickadance, what are you passionate about and why?
Me? What am I
Indeed.
passionate about? When it comes to storytelling or just in games or just in
What are you passionate about and why?
I am very passionate about getting other people to be DMs. I think that is my purpose on the internet through my videos or whatever I do. My goal is to make as many people feel comfortable DMing as humanly possible because we need more people to run
Because
games.
you want to play a game.
Yeah, I want to play. That's selfish. It's very selfish. I'm very passionately selfish, is what I'm realizing on the show. I want everyone out there to run a game for me so I can be a player. Thank you so much.
Well, hey, if you ever, I know I happen to participate at times with our local con here in DFW, Fate Con. So I've run games at Fate Con. So if you're ever at Fate Con in the Dallas Fort Worth area, you're certainly welcome to
Dallas
join
Fort.
my table
Okay.
and
Maybe
I'll
I'll go
run
to
for you.
FateCon. Oh yeah. I've never been
Fate
to
Con
Texas.
happening later this year, 2026. Ding.
Damn, what month?
I believe they're having it in October this year. So like the
Ooh, that's a
first
good month.
weekend in October.
Okay, interesting. I'll definitely
More
check that out.
details at fivesidedfates.com.
Not a sponsor.
They're not a sponsor, but I do enjoy them. They're a class act. They
This
are
is
good people.
free publicity.
Free publicity is good publicity. Any publicity is
Yeah.
good publicity.
That's what I've heard.
Indeed. All right. And now that we have made it through the personal interview section, it's now time to head into some NPC creation.
Nice.
And NPC creation is brought to you by you, the podcast audience, and our patrons from Patreon. So now's the time of the show where we give a shout out to our comfortable patrons and above with a loud hurrah. So to you, Ansa Jablinski, and good old mom and dad, we say cheers. So again, this is for patrons who donate at least $2 or more a month. They're getting these shout outs on every episode. But all these folks that I named are actually wealthy tier patrons, which means in addition to this, they're also getting the chance to add an element of chance to our random tables that we use in this section of the show. So we might get to hear some of their responses used today. So if you want to learn about all the various rewards that we've got waiting for you in the Patreon, even the free tier is cool to hang out, but we've got $1, $2, $4, and $10 levels. If you want to learn more, just go to the show notes below, go to the podcast website, or just go directly to patreon.com/sidekicks and side quests, all spelled out, to find out more about our tiers of patronage. Help us to grow and expand our operations in the levitating platter, in this demi-plane, and worlds beyond. All right. So as we were preparing for the recording of this show, I always ask the question of my guests before we start rolling, is for the NPC making part today. Do you have an idea of a character you're bringing to us, or do you want to roll some dice and see what kind of random NPC we can make today? A combo of the both.
We got kind of, the conversation kicked something around in my brain as we were talking through the earlier section. I do kind of have an idea that I've always tinkered with. I don't know how to make it work, so maybe we can work it out here.
Okay. All right, cool. We could do a combination of the two. So you have ideas of the kind of NPC you want to make, and as we make our way through the questions, we'll be able to answer those. And if we don't have an answer for it, well, then we can shake it up and do some dice rolling and get prompts and inspire us.
I love it. Let's do it.
Perfect. All right. So then the way that we begin this is we need to figure out the name of our character. So do you have a name? Are you looking to roll a name? Or do you, or like Tony Vicinda has done and some other guests, but if you feel like the name really comes at the end once you figure out the character, we can always, switch to another question and come back to it later.
I think his name is Qbert.
Oh, Qbert, like the video game character.
Like the little orange guy with the nose, yeah.
So we're going to spell it the same, Qbert?
Yes. I think that's a good way to go about this. It'll make sense later, audience. Trust me, it's the prestige.
Okay, all right. We will go that way then. Qbert, okay? And then what's the ancestry or species of Qbert?
That's difficult.
Is it?
Yes, because, and I'll tell you why my idea is, and why his name's Qbert. I have the idea for a character who was a gelatinous cube and was true polymorphed into a person.
Oh.
So that's why his name's Qbert, because he's a cube.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what species he would be true polymorphed into. It'd be funny if he was just a guy.
Like a human guy.
Yeah, like a man, not like a plasmoid, because that's too close. But if it's like,
right, or like our friend of the podcast, Mark Thompson, creator of the combat wheelchair, also developed the sentient slime as a player character option.
Yeah.
So you think not that because that's too obvious.
No, I want him to be Pinocchioed into a real person with blood and skin and muscle, because I think that's funnier.
I'm a real boy now.
Yeah, and then he starts lying and his nose gets bigger.
Does Qbert still retain any actual like slime properties, or just, you said true polymorph, so he would lose those, like, oh, I want to stretch my hand and I try to stretch it, but like it doesn't go any farther than my arm allows me.
Yeah, he's just a guy. He's no slime to be found. Just a guy who my thing is, the gelatinous cube has like an intelligence of 1.
Right.
So this guy is stupid.
Well, I was going to say that's an interesting point of order, in that if the Qbert was true polymorphed into like a commoner, a commoner has like pretty average, stats across the board. So Qbert would actually get smarter as a human. He might not have reference for things that he once knew as a gelatinous cube, but he would be like, oh, I'm experiencing the dungeon. Like, I have a need to clean things, or like, I want to, I develop pica syndrome, and I suddenly think all these inedible things I can eat, but they're not really nutritious for me anymore.
Tries to eat like rocks, and he gets real sick, and he breaks his teeth.
Or he's just like, that did not please me. Like, if he talks more like an alien or something like that, or he's trying to find his voice. Like, how do I communicate words?
And he like lives in the sewer because that's where he used to live.
All right. So Qbert. So we're saying human. Do you think human
I
is
think
like
human fits because
human
he
fits?
was the most inhuman thing you could be, which is just a big square of Jello, and then
Mhm.
he became the most human guy. He's just a guy. You know?
Okay. What was it? Jacob Wysocki doing you are a regular guy. You are doing the thing and you are a regular guy. So
Yeah,
that's
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 him as a
Qbert's inner
character.
monologue now.
Yeah, but also he has like Jello thoughts.
Mm,
He's like, I need shelter, I need warmth, I need to absorb food.
mm. Okay. And so then as far as Qbert's concerned, what's going to be his job or role in society?
Oh God, what is a gelatinous cube do for a 9 to 5?
Or
I
what
think,
what role does he occupy in society? If he's like living in the sewers, like
yeah,
did
I
the
think
city
he like,
find him and just like, "Hey, you're our new sanitation engineer now."
I think he just kind of is there. I don't think the city knows about him. He's like kind of just this weird urban legend of like they don't even
Ooh,
know his name. He's just a guy who lives in the sewers, like a weird guy by the train
urban
tracks or
legend.
something.
I like
Yeah,
that. Like his job is just, he's just the guy in the sewer and he doesn't know any better.
yeah. Don't go in there. You'll find some weird guy down there who's living in the sewers, and we don't know why. And very
Mm,
rarely he'll come up and like do some weird and then go back down. But when you go down there, he's just like, I don't know, cleaning the place up because that's what he used to do anyways.
okay. All right. So he just is he is a subterranean sewer dweller.
Yeah.
Uh he just dwells in the sewers and that's just what he does.
Yeah, he's like a reverse Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Mm. Middle age something sewer guy now.
Puddle of pudding.
Okay. So all right. So he's gainfully unemployed right now. He's waiting for someone to come give him purpose or tell him what to do with his life.
I mean, yeah, he's just kind of thriving down there. He used to live in the sewers.
Mhm.
And now he lives in the sewers with a person's brain, intelligence of 10. That's a big step up
From one, yeah.
from not having a brain to having a full brain.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the fulfillment of the Scarecrow's song from The Wizard of Oz. If
Yeah.
only I had a brain. Now he has a brain.
Yeah. And I like the idea that he's just like learning through stuff people throw away, like newspapers, books, old, like
So
torn
he's
up.
kind of like Wally too. He's like going through their trash and cleaning it up
Yeah.
and organizing it. And he's like, he reads about a play and like, he starts, it's like this play is called Hello Dolly. And I just really seem to resonate with it.
Yeah. And he can only say his own name like a Pokemon.
Qbert. Yes.
Qbert. Qbert. Really emotive.
Well, until he gets a language book and he starts figuring out
Yeah.
language.
Yeah. He has like a weird, I don't know, maybe he has like animal friends or some and they like scurry around and meet people they bring down to the sewers to help them teach. I don't know. It's just an
Yeah.
interesting concept to go from not having a nervous system to being a full human being. I think that's funny.
Yeah. And I'm definitely, very curious as well, like because that's a pretty high level spell. So
Oh yeah.
someone just had to some high level spellcaster must have like taken a wrong turn, fell in the sewers, and then their first thought was in dealing with this gelatinous cube that was surely going to eat them when they were in an inebriated state,
Mm.
was to turn them into a guy. And then he's just like, all right, see you, bye. And then Cubert's just like, what do I do with my life now?
To be fair, that would just be me if I got a 20th level spell. I'd just be like, hey, big cube, you're a guy now. Welcome to the existential dread.
Oh man. So then how old would you say that Qbert is? Like how long ago did this incident happen? Like is it long enough ago that like this urban legend has had real time to develop or is this like something new that's happened in the town?
I would say he's probably new-ish, kind of like
Okay.
5, 6 years, maybe.
Okay.
Like if you're
5 or
from the
6 years
town,
by himself in the sewers as a
yeah,
guy.
yeah, that's cool. Everybody wants that to happen to them, right?
Yeah. And then before that, like, whatever the lore states for how gelatinous cubes come about, like how long ago was he just a wee tiny little cubelet before he got big enough to be a gelatinous cube and then turned into a guy?
Oh, he's probably like, how old do gelatinous cubes get? I'm gonna say like hundreds of years. Is that a thing
Well,
people think about?
yes, it's like, let's look at the stated lore, ye old gelatinous cubes from the Forgotten Realms wiki. And does it tell us anything about the ages of gelatinous cubes? Let's see. Ecology, omnivorous scavengers. Okay.
Oh,
Reproduction, asexually, by
good.
dividing themselves into two smaller cubes of equal size or via budding.
He can still
d-
do
d-
that.
yeah, so it's like just they seem to operate like microscopic organisms. They could remain
Mm,
in that fused form for up to a few days before splitting and going their separate ways. So yeah, it's
interesting.
like, I don't know, a quick scan of the article without taking too much time away from this very riveting creation process. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, could be hundreds of years old, could be like was like freshly budded off and then ran into this high-level spellcaster and then became a guy. And now for the last 5 or 6 years, he's just been a human guy living in the sewers.
I kind of like the idea that he's like a super old slime, but he got turned into
Ooh.
like his mid-30s.
Okay, so he equates. So it through the magic, it equated him to turning or
Yeah,
appearing like a
he
guy
wasn't
in his
turned into a
30s.
child. The the magic was definitely like you're a guy now,
Mm,
and you should figure it out.
okay. And then I'm also curious because he's lived long enough. I wonder if the other cubes. I mean, granted, the other cubes have like an intelligence of one, as we've established. But is he like a slime, a gelatinous cube wrangler of sorts? Like he's like, oh, I can commune with them. Like I
The
still have a
slime
connection.
whisperer.
He's a slime whisperer.
Yeah, he's a slime shepherd.
A shepherd of the slimes. That's what
Yeah.
I be. I be a shepherd of the slimes in these
I
sewers.
I actually think that that's a fun idea where he like leads the other oozes around the sewer to like clean certain areas and get rid of blockage and
Yeah.
kill other creatures that are in there. He like uses them almost like Pokemon to be like, "Go my slime, go my children,
Oh
clean the
man.
sewers."
I feel like that's gotta be
It's a
now I'm
movie.
just thinking of, oh, if I convert Qbert into like a player class, it's like, oh, is he like a swarm keeper ranger because he's just got like all these slimes that follow him, or is he a unique druid that's like the circle of the slime, or is he like or is he like a cleric or a sorcerer, or I don't know.
It's
However
like
you'd
a
work it, but the idea of like a swarm keeper ranger or a circle of the slime druid also sounds pretty good.
yeah. What's the one that conjures stuff as a druid? Spirit totem? No, that's the barbarian.
Oh, the circle of the shepherds
Yeah, there you
is
go.
the one with the totem.
Yeah, that one might be cool too.
Yeah, that could be
Summon
cool.
different colored slimes to do different AOE effects.
Pretty cool.
I like
Someone
that.
out there will get on it and they'll make it, and then it'll be a hit on the DM's guild.
There you go.
People will
Free
be like, I
content.
want to be a slime tamer.
Don't credit me on that. I don't want to be associated with shaman.
All right, so we got an aid. Okay, so with all these details in mind, and we've started kind of doing it, but how would you describe the physical appearance of Qbert? So he's just a guy. He looks like someone who's in his 30s, but he clearly for the last 5 or 6 years he's been living in the sewers. So when we picture him and we introduce him at our tables and our games, how are we going to describe him physically?
uh Go on like shutterstock.com, find a picture of guy and then hold it up. Like the most generic middle of the road, kind of just a dude, clean shaven, bland features, like perfectly almost like Ken from Barbie, just
Hmm.
like perfectly almost plastically styled hair. I'm talking weirdly pristine for somebody who lives in the sewers.
Mm. Is Qbert one, maybe because that's a lingering thing of having been a gelatinous cube? Does he take great care and concern to his appearance and his tidiness and his cleanliness, even though he won't really leave the sewers?
I think it's because he has it now. He enjoys cleaning his personhood. He didn't used to be able to do that before because everything just dissolved when it touched him. Now he's like,
Ooh.
"Ooh, I take pride in this because it's fun. I get to comb my hair," and he just combs his hair all the time.
Ooh, sorry. I was just thinking of it now, kind of like a little philosophical, but it's like
Mm,
now that he has the intelligence of an average person going up from a 1 to a 10, he can truly appreciate beauty now. He can
yeah,
see the beauty in creation where he's like, I have hair and this is beautiful. And then he
Yeah.
like you said, he combs his hair and he combs it a lot and he's just like, I have a face and it looks nice. It's
Hmm.
good. This is a good face.
Yeah. It's like a very, not, I wouldn't say like handsome or attractive, just like a very neat dude. He's very neat, tidy, but he just lives in the sewers. It's like a weird juxtaposition of like the cleanest person you've ever met lives amongst the and the muck.
Mm. And his clothes are they pristine clothes? Are they
No, he's covered in
discarded
like
hand me
rags.
down?
Yeah, like sewn together rags and towels and stuff.
So he's kind of like Rat King from Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles.
yeah, exactly like Rat King.
Okay. So he has an otherwise, disheveled, clothing attire on, but like when you actually look at his person, it's like very clean and very neat and proper. And
Yeah,
he's like, even though he's like not especially handsome or charismatic or anything, he's like, I care about my cleanliness and being neat and orderly and all put together.
it's like somebody who just walked out of a salon, put on a
Hmm.
homeless man Halloween costume, and walked into the sewers.
Mm.
That's
Okay.
the kind of vibe I'm going for.
All right. All right. So we're getting an idea of his physical appearance, but with role playing to help us out, if you had to describe Qbert with three adjectives, what three adjectives would you use?
Confused.
Yeah. Is
Mm,
he dazed? I feel like whenever you say confused, it's like you're obligated to say dazed and confused.
dazed and confused because he loves the band. He loves the song. I would say excitable.
Ooh, excitable.
I
Okay.
like excitable because he finds out about new things. He's like, "Ooh, let me learn about this because I can learn now."
Yeah.
And I think the third thing, weirdly enough, hungry.
Mm. Well, that makes sense. I mean, not a lot of fresh food necessarily coming down
Yeah, I think he's got
the way.
a weirdly abnormal appetite.
Okay. And so, I mean, so he lives in the sewers, but surely he, he's not long term. He's not going to be able to survive in a human body in the sewers
Yeah,
because there's no real ready access to food. So he
yeah.
does he venture up or does he just like, oh, this is someone's sewer basement entrance into the tavern and I'll just pop in there and take a bunch of food and then like sneak out before anyone notices,
I
sort
definitely
of a
think
thing.
he skulks. He does a lot of skulking on the above
Mm.
ground. But it's also one of those things where people see him, they just kind of like, oh, that's a weird guy who smells,
Mhm.
because he looks totally clean and normal, but he's wearing all these weird rags and he's sneaking around behind bushes, and everyone's like, that guy's crazy. Don't talk to him. Don't look at him.
Mhm.
Let him leave. He'll leave
Like No
shortly.
Bark. So he's like No Bark from Fallout New Vegas, where they're like,
Yeah,
that guy is strange. He's weird. We don't. I mean, like, well, he'll keep to himself, but like, there's no need to
yeah.
necessarily interact with him.
It's not like he's ever hurt anybody. There's not stories about like him kidnapping kids and dragging them into the sewers or anything like that. He's just like, oh, there's that guy again.
Hmm.
I'm
And he's
gonna
not a
cover my
cannibal.
apples. No, 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 no.
Yeah. So he's a regular guy.
Yeah, and I think some of the store owners are like, I know to put my food somewhere else when that guy is spotted around. Like
So
someone's
it's
like,
like
oh,
when you
there's that
go
guy.
camping and you have to like tie your food up and hang it up so the bears
Some
can't
bears
get
don't
it.
get it. Yeah, kind of like that. But like, they just put like the cover on the apple so he can't swipe one when he runs by. you know, like he puts a cloche over all the food so they can't grab him.
Yeah. Although, he does have average intelligence. So given time, it's like I like to think, as he's learning things, he's like, this is how a lock works. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is how I can pick locks and get into food. Or like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
this is how a door handle works. And now I can open doors to get into places.
Yeah, like they close the door and he just kind of runs into it the first time. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. Some sort of wall that moves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay. All right. And we always like our NPCs to have something cool on their person. So, what's going to be a valuable item, piece of lore, secret, or ideal or concept that the character would ascribe to? We've maybe kind of danced around a few things that could just be gimmies. But certainly, if you're looking to generate anything, of course, we have the tables as well if you want those. But I don't know. You tell me your thoughts of like valuables or something that he cares about. I mean, I know he's a newly person and what he does find, he's kind of like Ariel, I guess, for the Little Mermaid, where he's like, look at this stuff, isn't it neat? I don't necessarily have a frame of reference for what this thing is, but it's cool and I like it.
A broken moss covered alarm clock. He's like, isn't this awesome? It's a piece of shit. It would be really funny if he had something from like the wizard who turned him into a guy. If he had like a giant grimoire or like a very ornate staff that he just carries around like it's a stick. And everyone who meets him or like detects magic is like blinded by how magical the thing is, but he's using it to like direct oozes around a room.
Okay.
I think
okay. So when the wizard cast True Polymorph on him, just in whatever the circumstances, in my head canon, I'm thinking, oh, the wizard was drunk and fell down.
Dropped his staff or something.
Dropped his staff, and then Qbert, this guy, just picked it up and was like, oh, this is neat. And he walks around with like, I don't know, like a rod of fireballs or whatever it is.
Crazy.
Some crazy, very rare, legendary sort of a staff or a rod or something like that. But as you said, he's just using it for very mundane purposes.
Yeah, it's like very dirty and like covered in like grime and in dirt. So you wouldn't be able to look at it and be like, that's a magic item. It's kind of just like a dirty pole he's using to walk around with, or like, you know how people carry around like pipes or something in apocalyptic settings. It's kind of like that, where it just looks like,
or like a gondola, like a gondolier's stick.
Exactly. But if you like detected magic or like actually took time with it, you'd be like, this is actually one of the most powerful things I've ever held. And I don't know why this guy in the sewer has it.
Yeah, I wonder. So yeah, just, and sort of beginning to lead into our next question. It wouldn't necessarily be from the point of view of Qbert, but if this wizard became, was like, hey, I'm missing this staff, you should go look for it in the sewers. That would be a way to meet Qbert. But the question's
that's such a good
more
quest hook too. Because if this takes place in a city, you could have like the wizard somewhere else and be like, if you ever come across it, this is a crazy question, I know, but I lost his staff one night. I was getting a little drunk. I was wandering around with some friends and we started popping spells off. I don't know where it is. If you ever come across it, handsome reward, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you stumble
that could
across
definitely be the quest, a side quest tied to Qbert, certainly from one angle. And you could go with that if you want, but I know I always ask the question of what's a particular quest that Qbert would be willing to offer to a bunch of heroes or player characters. So if the players are exploring the sewers, they come across Qbert and Qbert's like, oh, well, you're here, you could do this or that, or, and then he asks the players for help or presents them with a side quest. What would that side quest be?
It would definitely be a creature that's like traveled into the sewer system that him and his oozes just can't handle on their own. Because they're oozes. It's not like they're, CR20 creatures he's leading around. They're a bunch of like starting mobs, So it's not like he's leading an army into war. He's trying to clean the sewers and kill the occasional rat, But there's something gets down there and he's just like, hey, there's this thing that's screaming. I don't know what it is. There's this thing screaming down the hall, down this tunnel right here. If we take a left, it's just kind of there, and it's made a nest and it's blocking up a lot of the sewage, and it's making things kind of unbearable for the city and for me, and my slime boys need to eat. And he's blocking up all their slime food with this little dam he's made. This weird creature nest blocking up sewage is a kind of a basic
Audiug or like a carrion crawler or something.
Yeah, or anything, even
bigger.
Yeah, you can connect it to like any ongoing threads. If there's like, oh, there's weird demon stuff being summoned, it could be a weird demon thing, or any sort of ethereal,
a demon of filth.
Yeah, grander plot designs you want to foreshadow or anything like that. Feel free to put it here.
All right, so from Qbert's point of view, it's like, hey, there's this thing that's blocking the sewage, and me and my slime fellows can't deal with it, so we could sure use your help. And then tangentially, if you wanted to also tie it in from the point of view of the wizard, like, hey, it's really embarrassing, but I lost this very powerful thing in the sewers. If you happen to find it, that would be great.
You know how there's those quests, like in Skyrim, there's like that quest to find all those little like garnet pieces or something like that. You just like have random things where it's like, if you find any of this, but there's no waypoint on your map. That's what the wizard's quest would be like. He would just mention it in passing, but like, oh, by the way, I lost his staff. If you find it, I'll give you something, but unlikely you'll find it. Or
and
he just talks about it.
You just have to randomly explore the sewer and then be like, this is the thing the guy was talking about.
Yeah. It's one of those things where he just like doesn't even mention it as a quest. He's like, oh, I shouldn't have lost that staff. I got drunk, blah, 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 tells the story, but doesn't like give them the quest. He can even just mention it in passing. And if they put the pieces together, they can be like, oh, or if they find it, clean it up, and then go back to him for like another conversation, you'd be like, where'd you find that? Where the did you find my staff?
Okay. And so with our side quests, we always like to figure out what's going to be the reward and then like what's going to be the failure condition. So as far as Qbert is concerned, if they're able to deal with the blockage and whatever is causing problems for him and his slime fellows, how is Qbert going to reward the party? What's he going to be able to offer them?
That's a good question because he doesn't really value a lot.
Oh, I mean, if he's like Ariel, he collects a bunch of stuff. Is he willing to part with anything from his collection, or
right?
does
But
he
his collection would be like, "Here's an old tennis shoe I found floating in the water. Isn't it awesome?" And your party's gonna be like, "I'm good, actually. Thank you for the shoe, Qbert, but I need money." You know, he has to have something that's valuable that he doesn't know is valuable for the players to be like, "What about that thing, though?" Where it's like a Fabergé egg or something he found floating in the in the sewage, or like, you know, somebody threw something down the sewer, like some burglar tossed a massive
like another plot hook for another adventure or another side quest where it's like, oh, you know, like the regent was murdered, and then it's like, oh, well, here's this thing I found in the sewer, and it's like, huh, that looks menacing and odd, and it well, I don't remember those rumors we were hearing, and it was like they found him in the sewer, and like, wait, this, you know, maybe it's like a plot crumb or whatever for another quest or something, maybe.
Yeah,
possibly.
Or like, say he finds like a discarded bag or something, and that bag has a map or some sort of important documentation that denotes some further plot relevant stuff. Or
because like, surely other adventurers have come into the sewers before as well, and he's picked up all their stuff, and maybe he hasn't gone through all of it. If he's like a classic hoarder, I mean, so he's Ariel, but he's also maybe developing a hoarding problem or something.
I definitely think he has a hoarding problem. That's something we should have added in there earlier. He definitely has a hoarding problem.
Because he thinks everything is cool.
Yeah, he thinks everything has value. He's one of those people, and it's like, you're wrong, Qbert. Some of this stuff is just trash. But
it's like, well, the slime doesn't eat it, so surely it must be valuable. It must be worth something. Yeah.
I think the way you handle his reward is like, he'll let you take 2 of his things. He'll part with 2 of his items, and it's up to you as the party to like go through and determine what has value and what is just kind of like a tennis shoe you fished out of a lake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a better way to handle it than like, you get the coin purse or you get the big expensive item in his garbage heap.
Right. Like or like, they're like, wait a minute, your rod. Like if they clue in with they do a detect magic when they're trying to sort, and they're like, whoa, he's holding on to like a super powerful magic thing.
And I think that's when I would say that thing is like more sentimental, that he has issue giving it to you because it's the thing he walks around with all the time. It's his favorite thing. Yeah. So I would say like, that's the one thing you get, and you don't get anything from the pile, right? It's kind of like, if you clue into it, you get to take that, but that's it. One of those things.
Okay, so two things in his hoard that you get to choose from, or if you clue into the rod, the staff being the most important thing, then you can take that, but nothing else.
I think that's a fun way to do it.
Okay, I like that. And then for the reverse side, what's going to be the consequence of failure or refusing the call to the adventure? So the adventurers are in the sewer, they meet Qbert and all the slimes, and they, Qbert's like, help me defeat this thing, and they say, no, thank you. Or they try to do it and they get defeated somehow. What are the consequences of that?
If they fail the quest in whatever state, then whatever made the nest hatches whatever it's nesting there. The town starts to get infested with it. It starts to run amok. Things become a bit more chaotic. Maybe that town just sort of gets abandoned over time if they leave it long enough. Or they call in like, the King's Guard to help them deal with the infestation, or whatever they do to deal with it, the town gets infested with that creature sort of spawning.
Okay, so so now the town gets worse because of their failure, and now they have to deal with it when it's a little more dangerous or a little more threatening.
Yes, there's going to be like more mobs. The creatures might be bigger. The longer they leave it there might just be fully grown versions by the time they come back, and it's like, okay, we had to fight one of them. Now we have to fight 6. That's
okay. Okay, so that's if they refuse, and I mean, I guess maybe it's the same because I don't know. I guess you could fail forward, but I don't know. Like, so I don't know. Is Qbert going to react in any particular way if they were to refuse or if they were to fail, or he's just a regular guy? He's figuring things out. He's not going to necessarily be one way or the other
Ooh.
unless they somehow threaten the slimes or something like that.
Well, I was gonna say if the infestation gets bad enough, they kill all Cubert's slimes, and then he hates the party because they did
Mm, okay, he becomes their arch enemy.
the well, yeah, but becomes the guy who lives in the sewers who hates them. I don't know how much arch enemy he could be.
I don't know. He's the persistent guy. He's a guy, but you know what? He's gonna figure it out, and then eventually he's gonna
Yeah,
stumble on the one item that's gonna be the undoing of the party.
you could
Everything.
you could do it where it's like this whole revenge plot where he learns about the staff and he like casts magic for the first time. And then he goes on this whole like I'm gonna be a wizard track and he becomes this wizard who's like shows up with a first level spell slot and tries to fight them.
Mm.
I think that'd be really fun. But then also out of
Or
nowhere he drops a wall of force from from the staff he has.
yeah, or yeah, he just unexpectedly shows up. Like they're on their journey. You
Mhm.
know, they unfortunately, didn't do a good turn with Qbert, and then Qbert unexpectedly shows up and like, hey, we're in the middle of this important fight, but Qbert's like fighting the party, and then the bad guy's like, oh yeah, cool. Hey, you just did me a favor. Yeah, let's gang up on these guys, sort of
Yeah.
thing. And Qbert's like, yeah, I'm getting revenge. He doesn't maybe understand
Oh yeah.
whatever's going on with the current bad guy they're fighting, but
I
he's
don't even
just like,
think
yeah, I'm
he
getting the party.
understands the concept of revenge. I think he's just angry at them and he's doing it because he's angry. He's kind of got
Mm,
that animal in him still.
yeah. All right. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So those seems like okay. Yeah. Very very plausible.
Good old Cubey.
And yes, good old Qbert. And then as far as we do have some optional questions if you feel like Qbert needs any more rounding out to his squared edges, or do you feel like Qbert's pretty well fleshed out?
I can go a little further with him. I think he can have a little bit more character if you want.
All right. So what are the goals and motivations of Qbert as a character?
I honestly think he's very invested in raising his little slimoids. I think that's
Okay.
he's like a proud papa because now that he knows what living is like, he wants to take care of these little brainless blobs that he used to be.
Okay, so in a way, kind of well, I mean, it's like a Jane Goodall. Like he becomes like
Yeah,
an advocate for the slimes, and if he were ever, the Wizards College ever invited him to lecture on slimes, he would be like, actually, slimes are
yeah.
an integral part of the ecology of the world.
Yeah, or like any adventure starting out come down to like kill, slimes to train up before they go out adventuring in the real world. He's like, "What the dude? Stop. Those are
It's
my
quite
friends.
cruel that you are doing this.
You're killing my friends."
Okay, all right, and then how would these goals and motivations affect his Cubert's general personality?
Well, we already know about the fail state. So if his slimes die because of your action or inaction, or you harm his slimes, he goes on a vengeance quest against you that will never end. I think that's the
But otherwise, his personality seems like he's just a guy. He's learning about things. He's very curious, and he's like
Mhm.
enthusiastic, and he's hungry, and he's
Oh
like all these things. Yeah.
yeah, he definitely wants to learn about the world. So any information you bring him or anything you're like, "Oh, look at this." He's definitely like you almost automatically succeed on rolls to like persuade him if you give him information or new toys to play with, new stuff to look at. I think that's a good interact like a good way to interact with him or like utilize your inventory to win over an NPC.
Okay. Do you think Qbert would be willing to be like a hireling? Like if the player's like, we love Qbert, we want to adopt him. Like, do you think Qbert would be willing to do that if he brought like some of his slimes with him, and
I
then
don't
kind
think
of becomes like this hireling slime tamer guy?
I think it's more like they can't live outside the sewer. The slimes have to
Oh.
stay in the sewer, so he can't necessarily leave and like travel with the party.
Mm.
But he's like their hometown friend. Like if they ever come back to
Okay.
this town, they're gonna be like, we gotta visit Cuba while we're here. Love that
Yeah.
guy. Bring him some toys
Ooh.
or some stuff from outside the city.
Yeah. So we've already talked about how Qbert was like a hoarder. Maybe as he learns more about people and he learns about the concepts of like the free market and economics and coins and how they're actually worth things. He was like, oh, these were weird things that like I used to not think much of and they would get stuck in me sometimes. maybe even like when he turned into a real person, like a bunch of coins and other inanimate objects fell out of him.
Flew
So
out of his
among his
chest.
collection, those are the first few things that he had. He's like, you're telling me that if I trade these for other things, I can get more of the things I like. So
Yeah.
maybe he slowly becomes like a weird, eccentric item merchant in the community or whatever.
He definitely has like a pile of coins when they first meet. 'Cause he's like, this is the that my guys can't eat, and it's kind of useless. It just sits there and it's like kind of shiny, gross. It's like pristine, like perfectly cleaned gold because it passed through a nose. So it's had all the stuff like burned away off it, and now it's just pure gold and metal.
Yeah.
That could be
Or
fun.
gems. Yeah.
Yeah,
Other
gems
magic
too.
items. Yeah.
Yeah, anything that a gelatinous cube would have in it, these things just pass through harmlessly and leave on the side. So he has like a
I
little
wonder if he's
pile
also
of
into
useful stuff.
bones too, because I guess a lot of the bones would stay unless they dissolved slowly.
Probably a pile of bones. Actually, there's probably a pile of bones with good stuff hidden in them, like gems and coins that you have to look into and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this skull has like really glowing eyes, and it's because the skull just happens to so perfectly have like two gems, like two rubies sitting inside of it.
Yeah. Why you rooting through the trash?
How does Qbert normally interact with people? Like as far as like with his slimes, with anyone he considers, family or friends or peers, versus does he have enemies or rivals or anything like that? Is he like pretty nuanced, or is he like pretty one note across the board?
I think he's nuanced in the form that he's like very timid but quick to trust. Where it's like he'll hide from you until he knows you're not going to attack him or his his slimes, but you don't mean them any harm necessarily. But then once he knows you're not going to harm them, he's just like excited to talk to another human being. Usually, like when you interact with him, he's like very energetic and very excited to like speak with somebody, even though his speech is like kind of weird. Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, probably very alien in how he speaks.
Yeah.
Well, it's like someone who has like English as like a second language, or like an immigrant coming to the United States, and they're in the English classes, and like they know their native language, they've picked up a few phrases in English and they're trying them out, but they're like disjointed, or like the emphasis is in the wrong place. So that could be like a real life way to kind of figure out how to role play Qbert a little bit. Okay. Although I like to think, I don't know, if he still had a remnant of how he was when he was a slime and how slimes communicate, if he just kind of like blurbles, or he like makes like weird noises that like somehow the slimes understand, and they're like flubber, and they like happily blah, 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 back to him, and he's like, oh, that makes me happy.
He definitely has like vocal stems that are just kind of like bubbling sounds.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to consider too.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just like figuring out how languages work, and he's like, oh, it's fun to have a mouth and how a mouth works. So with his language or his accent, obviously wherever he's based, he's probably going to hear the people above and how they're talking. So like, oh, if he were like a Ninja Turtle living in the sewers of Manhattan, he would sound like someone from Manhattan. But like, how do you imagine that he would talk? Does he have any? We've kind of discussed like the idiosyncrasies of how he would act and speak, and that he's just still learning how to be a guy.
It would depend on the environment, because if it's like a big city or like a coastal town, it would have a lot of different accents coming through, and that would probably confuse his learning process all over the place. Like there'd probably be a majority one kind of accent, but I think the different, almost like a Kenku, where he says certain phrases in certain accents because that's the only people who ever say them, right? Like if he hears like the guy who owns the market down the street constantly yelling fresh fish in a certain voice, he's only going to be able to say fish in that way, right? If he hears the town crier going and like reporting the news, he's going to be able to say those words in that accent, kind of like more like a Kenku than just like a guy who just doesn't speak well.
Right. But the difference being, I mean, again, granted, the stated lore of Kenkus are like, oh, they can only speak in mimicry because they don't possess the mental faculties to actually speak like an intelligent sapient creature.
And then they're like, no, they're cursed.
That away.
They're cursed. It's different. Yeah.
But I do like the idea of like, you were sharing like the vocal stem with the, the slime like noises that he was used to, but like the mimicry, or I guess I'm thinking of like, what was it like? Mila Jovovich's character in like The Fifth Element, like Lilu multipass, and
Mhm.
she's trying to like figure out how different words
Exactly.
work, or like or someone might say like someone who could be on the spectrum, like, oh, I hear something in a certain way and that's how I associate it, so that's how I decide to say it.
Mhm. Exactly.
Or like the master from, I guess, Fallout 1. No, not, I've only seen videos, and I know that's Jim Cummins' voice, but it's like modulated like with a blend of all these different voices together. So that could be
Yeah.
like maybe another way to do it.
Yeah. It's just kind of an interesting way to show that he's been learning based on the other people around him rather than like he learned how to talk and he has this very strange accent. It's just sort of like, oh, he's listening to people through the sewers and the grates and he's hearing these things from above and he's piecemealing language together from a community of people.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you.
And then let's see, what impact has Qbert made on the world? How has he shaped his local area?
I think invisibly. I think
Mm,
if he's had an impact, it's gone completely unnoticed by everyone on the above ground. And that's not really like something he's trying to do. It's just no one pays attention to the sewer. I don't know what the sewer
mm,
below my house looks like, you know? It's not like I
sure.
venture down there and go through the manholes and stuff. I never think about it unless it backs up. So I think that's kind of how he exists down there, where he's keeping everything moving in a way that nobody really notices.
And none of the city engineers or the people who work for the community and maintaining the sewers are like, this part of the sewers is it's like extraordinarily clean or tidy,
Yeah.
or like we never seem to have issues in this part of the sewer, so that's
Yeah.
why we never go over there and check it, because it's like, why would we need to, sort of
So
a
yeah, I
thing.
guess debris doesn't flow down this way. I guess I don't know. It's really weird, but we've never had issues with that part of the sewer, so we've never checked it.
Yeah. Definitely probably some of the first voices he would have ever heard,
Mhm.
aside from what he remembers the wizard ever screaming out, and, what he's heard through the sewer grates, is probably if he's around the sewers and he's walking cautiously, but he's like listening for the sewer workers and like what they're saying. And
Yeah,
so that'd be kind
just
of
repeats it.
interesting. Yeah, because then if someone's like, "Wait a minute, I heard, were you down in the sewers?" It's like, "No, I haven't been in the sewers today. I've just been in the pub drinking because it's my off day." And it's like, "Oh, that's weird." It's like we heard you in the sewers earlier, but you've been here all day. So maybe like
Oh
a
yeah,
first clue for someone.
it's almost like a horror story where you hear like your friend from down the hallway, and you're like, "I wasn't there." It's like, what? You were? I'm sorry. That's probably how the myth got started, where it's like there's something down in the sewers. We don't go
Yeah,
down there. It'll steal your voice. Something like that.
like It or
Yeah,
whatever. Not
yeah,
that I've
exactly
ever
like
watched
Pennywise.
It.
Yeah,
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 it's all fun down here.
yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
the
You'll
thing he
float
says?
too.
All right. And then let's see, final optional question. Does Qbert have any problems that prevent him from being a bigger player on the stage?
He used to be a slime. He used to be a big gelatinous cube. He doesn't know how doors work.
Mm,
I genuinely think it's just like his inability to navigate modern society just keeps
mm,
him hidden down here because he's like afraid of some of the things he sees up there.
sure. Yeah.
Like imagine going outside as like I used to not have a brain, and then I go outside and I see a ship on the ocean. I'm like, I'm not coming out here ever again because that's terrifying. Or
Yeah.
like a thunderstorm, and you're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely thinking of The Fifth Element now, because
Mhm.
that's kind of how Mila Jovovich's character is presented, where she's like, or Daryl Hannah in Splash, where it's like, I'm new in a human world and I don't know how anything works or
Exactly.
how to relate or understand. And then any terrible thing that they experience is like physically recoiling to them and like
Mhm.
horrifying.
Kind of like a child, but in like a grown adult's body. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like we've made quite the guy with Qbert, and I think
Qbert.
it's time we take him into a random encounter. This random encounter is brought to you by my sponsor, Zencastr. How do I use Zencastr? Well, that's the service that I'm using right now to be able to record my episodes of the podcast. It's what allows me to capture it all, put it into my editing machines on my new computer to get it processed and put forth onto the interwebs and podcast land for you all to enjoy. I was able to take part of this service all thanks to my buddies Benjamin Huffman and Dane Fox McGraw over at the Dispel Magic podcast. And, if you were at this time in your life wondering what can I be doing? What sort of hobbies or things that I could be branching out to? Well, I'm here to talk to you today about Zencastr. It's so easy. It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen. Knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. You can sound your best. Have you ever wondered what you might sound like? Well, Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically works to remove those filler words in your recordings, and it makes those awkward pauses in conversation dip out as well. You can set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with a click of a button. It's all in one, so if you've thought about podcasting before and realize that you need a lot of different tools and services these days in order to do a podcast, well, I can assure you that those days are done. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute it to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SIDEKQPodcast, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Again, go to zencastr.com/pricing, use my code SIDEKQPodcast, get that 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. Thank you so much for listening to this ad and for supporting the sponsor. It helps to support the show. And without further ado, on with the podcast. All right, so we're now here in the part of the show where we get to do a bit of a role play, a vignette, a scene with the character we made here today. And I think Sean is going to do a fantastic job portraying Qbert. But the question that I have is, who am I going to be in this scene? Am I going to be one of the slimes? Am I going to be a little jelly boy? Am I going to be a sanitation worker that's in the sewers? Am I the wizard who turned Qbert into a man in the first place? Or am I one of my adventuring characters that comes across and meets Qbert for the first time and gets to show his new humanity off to?
Oh, who do you want to be? Is there like one that you're dying to be a part of? One that you're willing to embody?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've certainly got the Rolodex of podcast characters. So if I run through them real quick, there's Duncan. He's the recklessly brave adventurer for hire, no task too small, no feat too daring. He's the happy-go-lucky fighter guy. We've got Sonia, who is the warrior woman who started off as a barbarian and then multi-classed into a paladin who serves to redeem the undead. We have Chrisley, who is the herbalist, botanist, wood elf druid, who started, druid and then multi-classed into a cleric who serves living memory. There's Korak, the lawful evil, arcane trickster, roguish dwarf. We've got Orion, who's the astral elf, illusionist wizard. There is Agape, who's the lilac-colored tiefling sorlock. So she started off as a wild magic sorcerer and then multi-classed into a archfey warlock pact with an archfiend that she incorrectly refers to as Prosperina, but real name Proserpina. We've also got Lifespell the Necromancer. He is a forest gnome necromancer, and he's got a whole crew of skelly boys with him and a big undead skeleton dog. And then we've got Amblin Mithril Shaper. She's a young bard dwarf lady, fresh on her adventures. And those are all the characters that I have made. But if none of those sound good, we can always make up someone new.
That's great to list all those off, and they'd be like, well, if none of those work. Such a robust...
Well, I mean, if none of them inspire you, we're always down to make new ones to add to the Rolodex.
I'm just curious if there was like a role, like one of those vignettes of like the wizard, the sanitation worker, one of the adventurers. Like, is there anyone that you feel would fit one of these quick role plays?
You're the guest, so it's like it's your choice of what kind of scene you think would best showcase Qbert in. How you're going to, this is your time to shine. How do you want Qbert to shine?
I think what we would probably do is I want to leave the origin sort of ambiguous, just in case
Okay.
anyone wants to bring this
Sure.
character into their game.
Yeah.
So let's do the sanitation worker.
Okay. Yeah. Sanitation worker. Got it. It is a busy metropolis. We'll say that it is a seaside city. So it certainly has very extensive sewer networks, plenty of operations with water elemental engines helping to modernize this capital city in the region, because they can boast of indoor plumbing and, cleaner streets and all this because of the extensive work that they've done in these sewers built on ancient dungeon and passages of the city before, kind of like Rome being just built on layers and layers and layers. So that's how
Nice.
this is how this power center has been operating for centuries. And centuries it was that Qbert dwelled as a gelatinous cube and then found himself now a man. So it's probably like a standard working day. There's a pair of workers that are working, but the one that we're following will split off. And he says to his comrade, Haas, you go down that passage and I've got this one. He's, a human as well. We'll say it's a very human centric society. He's got a nice sturdy helm, but he does have like a lantern that he's fashioned on the front, like a miner's helmet. So
Mm-hmm.
it can project a beam of light forward. So he's always looking around and trying to spot where there's like cracks or there's infrastructure damage and stuff like that. So he's got like a big sturdy iron pole with him that he's tapping the ground and tapping the ceiling in certain parts, just trying to make sure that all the infrastructure is doing well. And he's like humming to himself and saying his name, like, oh, Patrick, you've been working hard, and just think, another day or two and you've got your furlough, you've got your break, and you'll go with Sally out to the country and it'll be a grand time. So as he's doing this, what are we finding Qbert doing as Patrick is scanning, looking in the dark and tapping the walls and the floor and all this, checking the infrastructure?
I think you would find him curled up in one of the smaller, like passageways,
Okay.
just big enough for him to like lay in like a hammock almost. As one of the oozes just very briefly catches a glimpse of the light and starts to hurriedly make its way over towards Qbert to try and wake him up.
Okay. So we'll say that Patrick, he's a commoner, he's a sanitation worker, so
Easy to
trained up in
kill.
not especially trained in his skills. So we'll just say he rolls a d20 on his perception check. He doesn't notice anything out of the ordinary as far as any slimes are concerned.
Okay.
Maybe he's starting to get an inkling that like, I thought I was like, it was a fortnight ago and I was in this part and it was a little dirtier then, but I wonder if Riley had been down here, if he had, done any cleaning. And, Patrick has like his basic stuff with him, his basic tools that he needs to be able
Mm-hmm.
to make any repairs and any basic cleaning sorts of stuff, very common magic sorts of items on his person. So yeah, he's not seeing anything like out of the ordinary. So that's definitely a clue in, because I think the last time he maybe had suspicions that like, the thieves were operating in the sewers again, or there was bandits, or just like some punk kids and they were like, making graffiti and all this stuff. So
Yeah. I
maybe
think what he would
Patrick is gently calling out or like talking louder, is like maybe trying to preemptively be like, hey, I'm coming. So if you're doing something, you better watch out because I'm coming down the passageway.
I think what he would notice first as he enters the next chamber he's walking into is that the graffiti he once like saw there the last pass through has been erased like it was never there in the first place.
Oh, that's so odd. Yeah. Okay. And there was the mark over there. So yeah, he's starting to look around, and
Mhm.
then how long is it before like he'll actually see like this hammock? Is this like where is this like where his hoarding nest is, or is that in another part and he's just taking a snooze in this section or whatever?
I think that's probably in a harder to access section that he
Okay.
would need to like lead somebody back to rather than just, I think this is just a napping spot he thought no was going to be safe for the next few hours, but Turns out he was wrong.
Okay.
And I think what this sanitation worker would probably see is like just a real quick, like, maybe it's a trick of the light. Maybe he just turned around too fast, but he sees like the leg of a person just sort of vanishing out of sight up one of these side tunnels, followed quickly by like a slime.
Okay, yeah. And Patrick is kind of like, oh, that's weird. And so maybe now he begins to tap his pole a little louder, and he's just kind of like, hello? Is there someone down here? This is the king's orders. The sewers are meant for sanitation, not meant for loitering. Hello?
He'll then hear the echoey sound of, hello? Is there someone down here? These sewers aren't meant for just repeating exactly what he just said.
And then, and then he probably says, like, he invokes the name of a saint, and he like does a prayer gesture to himself. He's like, oh, just be still in my heart. Because he's like, the echoes aren't normally supposed to be like that.
They're like
So
delayed.
like severely delayed. He's like making his way forward, and he's kind of like, Riley, you better not be playing any tricks on me now. And he tries to get closer to the source of where the delayed echo came from.
I think he would definitely hear like the pitter pattering of someone's feet in the water, kind of like moving around in the sewer around him. Almost like kind of like a horror story I'm picturing now. Qbert's kind of like a cryptid.
Yeah, so Patrick is continuing to look around. His head is just on a swivel, and so this beam of light is just constantly going. So I don't know. Is there a point where he's gonna catch Qbert in the beam of the light, or is he always just missing him? Like he hears a sound, he looks, and then like he's just barely missing it.
I think you would catch him at like around a corner, just like partially staring out from around the corner, just watching him.
So he gets scared, and he holds his rod out, and he's like, hey, who are you? What are you doing down here? Sort of a thing.
He would hear in like a different sort of accented voice Qbert say, nothing much, just looking.
You're not supposed to be down here. The sewers are off limits, don't you know?
You're not supposed to be down here. The sewers are off limits, don't you know?
My name is Patrick, and I work for the city. And so now he like tries to puff himself up and be like braver, and so he starts like to approach Qbert like with this sense of authority, even though he's terrified as he's doing this.
I think then Qbert makes the sound of some sort of like quick movement, and then a facsimile of what sounds like splashing acid. It's what he thinks intimidation sounds like. And then a few other gelatinous, like not gelatinous cubes, but like a few other of the jellies sort of like move into sight, almost like he's summoning oozes to threaten this guy a little bit.
So Patrick will now starting to see the presence of oozes. He probably, well, I mean, I think Patrick is a good guy. So he would call out, he'd be like, hey, mister, look out. You're the oozes, watch out. You got to get out of there. He's trying to lead him to safety. Like, come on, you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing.
I wonder how much of a practice this is, if he knows if he knows what that means, and if he can utilize it to be like, I can just run away and he'll probably also scatter. You know what I mean? I think what Qbert would try and do in that moment is look to him and pretend to be scared, and then dart down in a different direction. Like he's running away from the oozes, but also this guy.
Okay. Yeah. And if the oozes like don't have their tamer around, so to speak, and like his light is still focused on them, and the oozes like
they just keep moving towards the guy.
Yeah. So now Patrick is gonna be like, I wasn't looking for this today. And so then Patrick will start going the other way, and he's like, he pulls out a map hastily. That he starts making a note here of like, slime will need to hire adventurers to clear out, or call in the big guns. Essentially, he writes his note down. I'm like, okay, bend C, junction F. This is where we're gonna have to call in something. So he's like, I'm getting out of here. I'm not losing my trip out with Sally now. And so he like runs and disappears. And as he's disappearing, what's Qbert doing? So like Qbert can hear that like Patrick has retreated and stuff.
Yeah, I think like he gives it a beat, wait until Patrick like fully is leaving. And then he just sort of pokes his head back out, and then you hear the sound of a seagull cawing because that's what his laugh sounds like. That's what he thinks laughing is from below the sea level. So that's kind of what his laugh sounds a little bit like from this close to the ocean.
Okay. And then as the camera like settles on Qbert for like the last beat of the scene, what would Qbert then be doing now that this problem has been scared away?
I think he starts playing with the oozes like they're little beach balls. Like he starts like just throwing them around and they bounce around like the walls. Almost like, you know, how kids pick up or adults pick up kids and throw them in a pool.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what he's doing with these spheres of just material. And he just sort of like, there will like one will climb up on his shoulders and he'll take it and like throw it into one of the water piles, and then it'll slowly make its way back to him as he picks up another one and throws it around. Just sort of like, that's how they show their appreciation of like, you did a good job. That was awesome. That was fun.
And scene. So there we go. We had Qbert live in a scene. So what did you think it was like getting to be Qbert?
I think he's fun. I think he's a little bit creepier than I first pictured, but it was a figure of authority, so he probably wasn't going to get too involved with that.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, it could have certainly been any number of different ways. Like if it was like, you know, a group of bandits stalking in, or like a pirate, or any other number of things coming in the sewers. But, you know, the people who are going to most likely be found in a sewer, aside from ruffians and ne'er-do-wells, are going to be the people who are actually hired to maintain the infrastructure.
Yeah. It feels like more of a game he plays with the people who go down there regularly, rather than like, you know, he was comfortable enough to be seen, but not comfortable enough to like have an interaction with that person, especially when they're writing down like, got to kill all the slimes on their way out.
Right. Yeah. So now I'm thinking from like the first Portal game, he kind of has like the aura of like Ratman or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he leaves like the secret markings on the wall and is like the one.
What's the reverse of that? He erases the markings on the wall. So it's like,
okay.
Even if they're like, you know, they leave like arrows on them. They're like construction marks or something, like, you know, repair this wall, big red X or something. When they come back, it's gone. And they're like, are we in the right tunnel? You know, that kind of thing.
Is this where we need to be to fix the thing, maintain the pipes and all that? I also think it's interesting there at the end of the random encounter, you were like, oh, he like picks up the slime and like throws him in the water. So like, does he have like, you know, I guess the slimes, if he's like a slime tamer, like whether that's a swarm keeper or like a druid thing, does he just have like acid resistance? So like when he's interacting with the slimes, they're not actively like trying to burn his flesh and stuff like that.
Well, I think not all the slimes are acidic to touch. I think some of them are just like gelatinous balls, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. So some of them just, I don't know, they have that sort of.
Some of them are like flubbers, is what you're saying.
Non-Newtonian liquid spheres. You just kind of like throw them around. Some of them you don't want to touch because they will burn your hands off. But he knows those ones, and they stay in a different part of the tunnel sometimes.
Okay. But yeah, now that we've made it through the random encounter, just like you thought this was a silly idea coming into this, but now that you've had a chance to kind of like bounce it off and, role play Qbert in a scene, just like, what are you hoping for your little guy now? What are you hoping for Qbert?
I kind of love him, honestly. I kind of want him to find that adventuring group to come through and bring him stuff from the outside world, and, maybe tell the city to not deal with ooze. Maybe convince the city council that oozes can actually be healthy for the sewer and stop sending guys down there to try and kill them.
Yeah. I was going to say, is Qbert going to be someone that you're going to introduce in your game?
I probably will. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to put Qbert in one of my cities because I like him.
Yeah, I feel like Qbert is a great addition to any major city, whether they're landlocked or they're a seaside town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Qbert's a great addition. And it's just so fun, with such these high level spells of like True Polymorph. It's like, well, what happens when you use them on, a normally dangerous creature, and you just turn them into a guy? Like, what is their life now?
Well, to a level 20 character, Gelatinous Cube is not threatening. So he's kind of just like, this guy, get him out of my sight. And he turned him into a dude. And it's like, well, that guy has to live a life now.
Yeah.
You can't just
what
like
do we
use
do now?
a 9th level spell and walk away. That guy is alive now forever.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
It's crazy.
And now that we're through the other side and we're here in final thoughts, I always like to leave this part of the show to guests. So like how did you think your time was spent on the podcast today?
I thought it was a fun time. This is a concept I've had before, but I've never actually like tried to sit down and think it through, like what it would look like. And this was a good little exercise in fleshing out a thought that I've been just letting sit and fester in there for a while. So it was fun. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, very cool. And hopefully, maybe on your reels and your videos and TikToks and all that, you'll share more nuggets of wisdom as you've dwelt on Qbert and you share more about his life. Again, obviously everything that, we can use and borrow and steal and such, the lore can always be altered, but
Oh
in
yeah.
your head as you're developing his head canon or like where he lives and operates in your world, it'd be really cool to maybe see the series of like, oh, this is what Qbert found in the sewers this week, and you're like, this is how I could have my idea of like, the cool magic item or whatever of the week or whatever.
Yeah. That's kind of fun, especially in a bigger city. If it's a big city, people lose in the sewers all the time. So it's a fun little
Very
NPC
true.
mechanic.
And I would certainly be remiss if here at the closing moments of the show, if I didn't leave the soapbox, the stage, the microphone, the platform, and the what's a who's it to you. So where can you be found on social media? What projects do you have going on? What passions or causes do we need to be made aware of? Let us know. Lay it all on us.
I am found pretty much everywhere under Mr. Shickadance. There's underscores and stuff, but if you just type that into the search bar and hit find, you'll probably find me. If you find me in one place, there's a link tree to go everywhere else. I am looking forward to streaming on Twitch soon, so find me there. It's just going to be kind of chill, world building D&D stuff, answering people's questions if they have any, while I try and build out a new setting. So that should be fun.
With Qbert.
Qbert will probably be there. I really actually love to include him in there. And I don't necessarily have any projects other than the streaming thing right now, but I am very passionate about getting out there and DMing. So if you haven't done it yet, this is your call to action. I'm currently demanding you use your time listening to this podcast, put it to good use, make some NPCs, and fill your own world, your homebrew world, or a source book setting. With your own NPCs and run a game for your friends. Nothing will go wrong. I promise. You'll do fine.
Amazing call to action.
Hell
I like
yeah.
it. And there we go. We've done it. We've made the podcast episode. Mr. Sean, thank you so much for being a guest on Sidekicks and Side Quests. I can't wait to have you back on making even more interesting NPCs.
Hell yeah. I'll bring a real person next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast through Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Overcast, or YouTube, or feel free to save the RSS feed to use the app or player of your choice. Visit our website, sidekicksandsidequests.com, for links, write-ups of the NPCs, and to learn more about the show and the guests who have been on it. To stay up to date and interact via social media, you can follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram/Threads, Twitter/X, and Reddit by searching for Side KQ Podcast. You can also find our small Discord community as well online. I would love to talk D&D and showcase your fan art, stories of how you used our NPCs, discussions, and commentary. And hey, if you'd like to hail the bard and send me a message, an email, you can do so by communicating with sidekicksandsidequests@gmail.com. To help this show be the resource it's meant to be, I ask that you leave a review on iTunes, 5 stars, please, to help spread the word and share our podcast with your friends and family. Whether you're a veteran player or an aspiring dungeon master, there's something here for everyone, and I want to hear about it. As mentioned in the NPC creations section of the podcast, I do in fact have a Patreon for Sidekicks and Sidequests. If you love this podcast and what we're trying to do here, I would appreciate it if you would just go to the website, patreon.com/sidekicks and sidequests. No matter your lifestyle expenses, we have wonderful rewards at every level of Patreon membership tier. Modest, comfortable, wealthy, and aristocratic accommodations await, and we welcome all patrons to the Levitating Platter. Seriously, your financial support allows for this passion project to continue to invest in itself through the tools that will take our production to the next level, as well as provide more content for our patrons and the community at large. Please consider supporting me on Patreon if you can.
Sidekicks and Sidequests is unofficial fan content permitted under the fan content policy.
Meaning I'm not approved or endorsed by Wizards.
Portions of the materials used are property of Wizards of the Coast.
Copyright Wizards of the Coast,
LLC.
Thank you for your support, and I'll see you at the pub next time.
Bar to rock on 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sidekicks and Sidequests.